Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Welcome to my podcast, where we are going to talk about a lifestyle with dogs and throw in a few life lessons along the way. Whether you're a hound hunter, bird dog enthusiast, running setters, pointers, retrievers, or a flat-out running dog junkie, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, a certified law enforcement canine trainer with over 3 decades of personal and professional training and handling experience. It's time for me to pay it forward. So grab your leads, lace up those boots, and come and join me on this lifelong process of teaching, training, and learning. Are you looking to unlock your dog's full potential and give them the best nutrition possible for peak performance? Then look no further. Inukshuk has what you're looking for. Inukshuk's nutrient-dense formulas are crafted to keep your dog's energy high and performance top-notch. Packed with premium proteins and essential fats, Inukshuk delivers the balanced nutrition your dog needs to thrive. From hunting dogs to police canines, Inukshuk is trusted by professionals. Give your dog the power of peak performance with Inukshuk professional dog food. All right, guys. I took a trip. Actually, it was last weekend. It was a little closer than I thought. I got invited up to hunt with a great group of guys, and it was for the Outdoor Dream Foundation, which takes terminally ill youth hunting. And if you guys listen to this podcast, and I know you do, you know we do veteran hunts every year. And when I was invited up to do this hunt, I was ecstatic about it because this is what hunting's about. Not only to be able to go participate in something that's so important, but to be able to do it with a youth. You always see us posting, you see a lot of people posting that, get a kid involved in the outdoors and so on and so forth. But this hunt was actually meant a lot to me. I mark it up as probably one of my most memorable hunts on Saturday. Just seeing the excitement on Carson's face and him literally tackling his dad and them hugging and just the joy that come out of them is going to be one of the top things of my hunting career with hounds. So we're going to talk about this hunt today. And I've got Reggie Woodrum on from Southern West Virginia in Boone County. Reggie kind of spearheads some of this with the Outdoor Dream Foundation. And again, I'm very honored that I was invited up to take part in this. So, Reggie, how's everything with you this morning?
Everything's good. It's finally cooling off a little bit. Starting to feel like fall, so we're getting excited for more activities in the woods. It's a lot. I'm
gonna tell you, it was hotter than Hades up there those 2 days.
It got hot quick. When we schedule this, it's always the second, basically second weekend in September, and then you just never know what you're going to get weather-wise. You want to be done by 9 or 10 o'clock. So daggone hot, with these hounds. But some, year before last, we actually had a rainy, dreary day, and you could have hunted all day. So you never know. It's weather dependent. You don't want to thermal out the dogs.
I know that I posted a reel. We were actually bringing the bear out Saturday, and I did a little short clip. I talked about it, and I did not realize how soaking wet I was. My shirt was drenched. I mean, I had beads of sweat coming off top of my forehead. And after I posted it, I'm like, my goodness, man, I look like I just went swimming. But those hills are a little steep down in there for sure.
Definitely. We definitely have the mountains. That's for sure. And in the area that we're hunting, I mean, it just goes to, just steep as a cow's face. I mean, really quick. So
yeah.
Traversing this and trying to keep up with dogs is tough. A lot of people, they think that there's not much of a challenge for, in treeing a bear, but I'm telling you, you come to southern West Virginia and the bear can use high walls. They can use mine breaks. They've got a lot of different terrain and things that to shake the dogs. And the bear gets away a lot of times.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough country to hunt in. So let's talk a little bit about the Outdoor Dream Foundation, how you got involved with it, and how long have you been a part of this hunt?
Well, a few years ago, probably 4 years ago, I was invited. I have a game recovery business, and I track wounded game with a dog. And they invited me. There was a hunt on a mine's property that they invited me to come to bring my dog because they were shooting animals and some wasn't being recovered. So I went as just a tracker, and then I kind of crossed paths with Suzanne and Rich Carnes, and they said, "Hey, you need to start a chapter. You got so many people that and so many properties, and you need to maybe start a West Virginia chapter of this ODF." And I was like, I just like to hunt, and I like to scout, and I know I got a lot of people that's just like me. It likes to do the same thing. I said, you just send the kids and tell me what hunt, and we'll tell you where we can take them. So I got to talking to some of my hound hunters, and they said, absolutely, we're on board. You get the kids, we'll take them and do what we got to do. So we approached Black Hawk Mining for the samples complex, and we set up a conference call. And Joseph McCormick had a lot to do with getting us in there. He was the safety man for Black Hawk at the time, and he got us in, and we set up, a conference call, and I told them, what we would need and about how many bear hunters and what we would like to do. And they gave us permission to do this. This mine, actually, it went idle on the Saturday that we hunt. So this is a no hunting grounds. And they shut the mines down. They stopped production for that Saturday for us to bring these kids in there. And this started last year. So this year was the second annual. And we've had a high success rate with putting these kids on bears and not necessarily just killing the bear. A lot of them's never seen the action that it takes place during a hound hunt.
Yeah. When I was sitting when we were at the briefing on Saturday morning, like I said, this was my first trip. I was pretty amazed that they took an active working mine and they just shut it down for the weekend. Of course, they set out some guidelines and rules that we needed to adhere to, but that's a pretty good thing, especially when you don't allow any hunting. And two, it helps the management on that property, because looking at that terrain and just being in some of the areas that I was in, there was plenty of sign. I'm sure there's not a shortage of bear in this area. So I'm sure that it helps more than one way, but to be able to take the youth in there, the roads were good. You could get around. You may have to walk some. Sunday when we treed, we walked right at 9/10 of a mile, almost a mile in to where we were going. But again, it was a good thing that this mine did, and I appreciate it, even though that I'm the small person on the spectrum here. I was just there participating and learning. But I think that mine, especially McCormick, if he arranged all this, man, kudos to him.
Yeah, Joe got this all set up, but I'll tell you, the big player up there is Tad Bailey. Tad Bailey is the safety man up there, and RC. RC's right up there with Tad, and I'm pretty sure he's a super on the whole job. And RC's the one made the call to shut down on Saturday. But Tad always is very accommodating. And we look to get bigger and better and just to where it runs better. That's what you get people. There's a lot of people that want to help, but if you don't have it orchestrated right, it turns into more work and it'll discourage people. So that's where I come in. I try I try to say, okay, this is where we're going to use for a processor. This is how we're going to, we're going to meet here. And I try to do the logistics of it to where, it's hard work, but we try to make it a little bit easier on everybody logistically. And that's the way I try to plan this. I'm always thinking for next year, okay, we're going to switch it up and do it a little bit this way. That way the families aren't sitting around. It's just pretty much, okay, meet, and then we get to the mines and it's showtime. So everyone that's been on board has done really well with that. We picked up a pastor that's really close to Marmet, Charleston, and he actually skinned, caped, processed all the meat. He actually left church. They had a church picnic, and he actually, after he preached, he left church and come and met these kids, and we would drag bears into where he was storing them. And then he actually went back to the picnic, but he got everything processed, and then they were able to take them back to South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever they may be from. And Chris Keyser and his wife Vicky, they're on board now. They're on board. I mean, this was just they started this year, so it's a processor that's really close to us, and they said they was on board for next year. So Lord willing, that's the way we'll play it next year.
Yeah. I knew that we were sitting there. I don't know if it was Saturday. I guess it was Saturday. We were waiting on you guys to come back and talking about that you'd already had a processor lined up and somebody that was going to actually mount the animals for them. And it's stuff on the back end that people don't even think about, because all the fun is just chasing the dogs, and then when you get done, the stuff's got to be processed, got to be taken care of. It's got to be put in cold. Like I said, as hot as it was, we were stuffing ice in hours. And I think you guys come in and done the same thing, just to keep it where, everything could be consumed or used in however it was supposed to be done.
Correct. What I try to do is I try to get someone that might help shuttle the families and their kids. Noah Tony, he's a Black Hawk employee, and he was a big help as far as taking kids where they needed to be, getting these the parents in to see the action, staying close with the chase. But then at the end, okay, all the hound guys, they have hounds to take care of. The last thing I want to do is, hey, ask a hound guy, okay, can you take this bear to the processor for us? That's not their job. Their job is to take care of the dogs, feed the dogs, water the dogs. They've got enough on their plate. They're putting their time out for nothing just for this hunt. So we try to get other people in line that can take up the slack and, plan food, and get drop bear off at the processor. That's what, we try to do. Everybody has to pitch in, and you don't want to put too much on one person, because then it'll push them out. They won't want nothing to do with it.
It is a lot of work. And like I said, you were kind of leading the charge there. So, kudos to you. And I appreciate what you did, even though, like I said, I'm just there to visit and follow along. So talk to us a little bit about the Outdoor Dream Foundation and what it is and what it stands for.
The Outdoor Dream Foundation, they schedule hunts with terminally diagnosed children that is either currently fighting a situation or has previously fought a disease or illness, and they line up with different hunters or outfitters around the country. They'll do a thing called a dream hunt. We try to partner and just show them what we can here in West Virginia. Anything we can do here in West Virginia is what we try to, is the connection that we have with them. Charlie Dunbar, he's done really well with it. Carl McAllister, Junior Elshire, these hound guys, they said, we want in, our groups. Matt Witt's going to, do some fit. He's a guide on the New River. He's going to take them and do float trips on the New River to catch smallmouth. But Suzanne and Richard Carnes, they put off a lot of effort to get these kids and to coordinate these hunts. And that's basically what it's about. But what I tell Suzanne, I said, what I like is first. I think first things first. Send me kids that's never been on a hound hunt. Send me kids that's never seen a black bear. Send me kids that's never been on a turkey hunt, that's never killed a turkey. That's who we try to do first. I try to do first things first. I love taking people for the first time to get whatever animal it is, whether it's with the ODF or a kid that I cut their hair, or maybe even an adult that's hunted a lot and never have been successful. We try to push the outdoors and just let people experience that. So we try for first things first, and then as the kids line up for us, we try to do severity of their illness. I know one kid came on the hound hunt last year. His name was Aiden, and me and him sat in the rain. I mean, this kid would not quit. And it was rainy, cold, and he didn't quit. Well, he wasn't successful last year. With as far as harvesting a bear, but this year he's successful. The bear treed. He just got to see it, and he got his first West Virginia black bear. So that's what we're after, is first things first, making dreams come true. And it takes a lot of people and a lot of support. I have people that will come into my shop and say, because I cut hair, I have a barbershop, and they'll come into my shop and they'll say, "Hey man, I love what you're doing. What's your address? I want to buy a blind for one of the next year's turkey hunts. Or, do you guys need anything?" And a lot of times we don't need anything. We all use our personal stuff. I use personal cameras. We've never turned a receipt in for any of my hound guys, or anybody that I've ever took on a hunt or worked with the ODF has never turned a receipt in for that to the foundation for them to help us in any way. We do this because we love to do it. It's something that we're doing anyway, and we want to include these kids in this foundation.
Yeah, and as a houndsman, like, I can't. I mean, I'm not surprised that nobody's like, why would you do that? Like, just do it. Like, you're already taking care of the dogs. You're already putting gas in your truck. That's just a lot. Let me back up here. That's a part of hound hunting that most of the world does not see. That how gracious most hound hunters are. Now, there's bad apples in every bunch. We can go that route, but
Correct.
Like, most hound hunters are good, salt of the earth people who want to do good and are willing to help anybody anytime. And I don't think that narrative is pushed enough. Like, it's things like this that the public should see more of. And I know that just talking to Josh, which is Carson's dad, and just listening to some of the guys talk, I mean, they send these kids all over the country. Like, they send them out west to mule deer and elk hunt, and like you're talking about float trips. I mean, they do a lot of things for these kids. And I know the hound hunters are a small group of that, but just like you said, you were talking about Carl and Junior, those guys, they just want to jump in and help.
Yeah.
And I didn't run with your guys. I don't really know some. I don't know Charlie, and I think a guy by the name of KP was up. Like, I don't know those guys like you do, but I know bear hunters, and I know good bear hunters, and good people bear hunters is what I mean to say.
Yeah, for sure. That, like I said, I tell people all the time, I was like, I defend bear hound hunting, but I can't defend every bear hunter, because there's some dirtbag bear hunters, and there's just dirtbag people wherever. But I can vouch and guarantee the groups of bear hunters that I know and I'm affiliated with, whether it's Charlie Dunbar's group, whether it's Carl McCall's group, whether it's Junior Elshire's group, these are great people. I was the type of man that I was a bow hunter first. Okay. And I was the guy in probably 2015, 2014. And the whole time since I was 13 years old, I was the guy that said, "Oh, there's no sport in that. If you can't kill them from a tree stand, that's not fair." And one time in 2018, I was in the middle of the woods with my niece. There was a snow on. And we had just seen a bear go through a low gap, and I just got her set up, and they was in there feeding on some hickory that was still in there, and the bear kind of got out of our sight. I didn't want her to take that shot. It was probably 240 yards, and I just wasn't comfortable with her taking that shot. Well, I heard vehicle coming, so here come a guy that I was on the hunting lease with, and this was in Printer. And he said, the bear hunters are hunting in here. He said, Junior is walking up out of there. Well, I didn't know none of these people. So I said, well, that down in here and show him. We'll be standing here where it crossed. So he's walking up, and he's leading two dogs. And now I got to blame him for addiction at this point. Okay. It's up there to us. And I said, right here's where it crossed. You can see it right here. It's tracks in the snow. He said, here, hold this. And he handed me two leads with them dogs. And while he got on his radio, and he hollered at Chris Spencer, and he said, hey, he said, bring Wild Child down here. He said, this bear crossed here this morning. They seen it cross. So here they come in, and I met these guys, and they got this bear. They ran this bear. I'd never seen how much work we had to do to finally get to this bear and get it up. And listen, I've been hooked ever since. These guys they can't throw rocks to get me off of them. They kept me under their wing. But I mean, it's just unreal that the sport that's in it and the work that goes into it. I mean, people that, if you've never trained hounds, or just it's a roller coaster of emotions. You're losing stuff, you're gaining stuff, and I mean, it's tough. Running a kennel and being a hound hunter, it's tough emotionally. And these guys are strong, but they're very compassionate people. And I mean, I regret all those years that I said, oh, there's nothing, that's not fair. And I get why people have that attitude, because I once had it. And I'll say, listen, do me one favor, go to 3 bear trees. If you go to 3 bear trees, because I can't just say go to a bear tree, because it might be easy the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You go to 3 bear trees, and then tell me that it's easy and there's nothing, and it's not a sport and it's not fair. I said, you go to 3, and that'll be enough to show you that this is a sport, and this is why these guys do it.
Yeah. Speaking of losing things, I lost my hat up there in one of them hollers. I went back and looked for it for 30 minutes and never could find it. So yeah, you definitely lose things. Well, yeah. Let's segue that into, let's go ahead and talk about your hunt. I know Aiden went the first day and Milo the second day. Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and just tell us about those hunts, and then I'll roll over and we'll talk about Carson's. And
okay. Tad Bailey wanted the Samples Complex hunt to be successful, so he said they're wanting two hunters, and we'll get those 2 hunters, and they want it to be a success. They want these kids to leave with a bear. So we reduced the number of kids to come. So I had other houndsmen that was wanting to be a part of the hunt, and I have other property. It's an old Fort Creek mining complex, and I contacted Jason Truman, another head for the group that we use to control numbers on Fort Creek, and he said, absolutely, we're in. I said, well, I'm going to send 2 with you on Saturday. And it was Brogan and Milo. And then we took Aiden and Carson with you, Heath, when you came with us on Saturday. So we had the 2 to come to the Saturday hunt of Samples. Well, I told Jason, I said, do what you can over here. See if you guys, we might all tag out on Saturday. If we don't, we'll either switch kids, or we'll see what happens for Sunday. So on Samples, we were successful. We went in one direction with Aiden, Heath, and Carl and Junior. Y'all went in another direction with Carson. We were both pretty much, everything was good. I'd say by 10 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock. By the time we all met back, and we were good. Well, and I'd got a message from Fort Creek that Rogan had been successful. Milo was the first shooter on that hunt, but the shuttle guy they kind of got lost. They got out of the pack, and this bear wouldn't stay. So Rogan was there, thank God, and finally got this bear killed. Well, by the time Milo got there, he knew he was the first shooter, and he thought, man, he was at that roller coaster at the bottom. It had him, I guess, messed up a little bit emotionally, thinking, I thought I was supposed to be the first shooter. But Rogan was there. He took the shot. He's harvested the bear. So they had a couple other bears on the ground, wouldn't climb, couldn't get caught up to them. They didn't have much dog pairs. It started to get hot. So push comes to shove. I messaged Jason. I said, Jason, I'm going to get Milo and we're going to go back into samples, because Charlie, he hunts some property. He has permission to hunt the bordering stuff of close to area of where the mines is. And Tad said, that's okay. You guys can access in, just, follow the rules like what I've told you. We're completely idle. There'll be a security guard up here. And so that's what we did. And I also contacted any of the other kids. I said, if you guys want to hunt, just, we're going to switch off. Some of you will go to Fort Creek. Some of you, then we only want 2 kids on samples. So Carson said he was in. Now, Rogan and his dad, they went ahead and made the journey back towards home. So they didn't hunt Sunday. So we had one kid, we had Carson and we had Milo, and then Aiden decided not to hunt as well. So we had 2 hunters. So we both went back to samples. And then that morning, Carson, same way, we split. We won. I have one group of hunters that's kind of set up with side-by-sides only. And then the group that you went and you brought your truck was truck hunters. So you kind of try to go in a direction to where that's more accessible to get in there with the truck or get in there with the side-by-side. So that's kind of the way why we split. And then y'all had one side-by-side with you. Jacob, Spencer had a side-by-side in case you get in a bind or need to get a side-by-side in somewhere. But Carson was again successful, and Milo was successful. We walked, I think it was about 700 yards. We had to walk up a creek bed. We had a lot of kids with us. I brought my little girl, and we got in there, and that was the first bear she had ever seen in a tree. She's trained a lot. She's tracked dogs. We've picked up dogs, but that was the first bear she ever seen up a tree, was the one Milo was able to get. And that boy, I'm telling you, Milo was so excited, and it just happened in that bear tree in a beautiful spot. And we've got some of this stuff on film. We don't have professional footage, but we have a little bit of clips, enough to make some reels and things like that. But we were, I feel it was 100%, 125% success, because we had 4 kids come in here. Try to harvest a black bear. All 4 of those kids harvested a black bear, and Carson harvested 2. He killed 1 each day, because that's the limit. Yeah, we got 2. We can kill 2 black bear in West Virginia, as long as you kill 1 of them in certain counties. And Boone County, the county we're hunting in, is one of those counties that there's a higher number. Some people refer to them as nuisance counties. Because a lot of people's got calls. They're tearing up my bees. They're tearing up my building. They're tearing up my truck. So they want you to kill a higher number of bear in certain counties we have in West Virginia, and we did our part in Boone County this season.
Yeah. So yeah, we I don't know how you guys. I don't know if you had doors and windows on those side by sides, but as dusty as it was, I bet y'all were eating enough dirt to. Man, I'm telling you, like, it was dusty.
Yeah,
like those roads are like powder.
I'm sorry. You just kind of had to lay back. The ones that I have windows and a cab on mine, and Aiden and Milo both was loving that. Had Milo's little sister with me too, but they were loving that.
Yeah, because it definitely was. But yeah, we when we left that morning, we went. I don't know what direction that was, but we went back around left-handed and ended up striking a bear. And I think pretty much everybody got a couple dogs on it, and it made about a 2-mile race and ended up treeing over one of them deep hollers, and we got around. Now, finding the roads that went into those things for us was difficult. I think Glenn maybe works there.
Yes.
So Glenn kind of knew the area, and Glenn got us in they got in real close. Him and Junior got within, 100 yards. And I ended up parking. I went down another road and it was 300 yards. And I'm like, well, I'm not driving back up out of here. So I just shot across the ridge there to him. And when we got in there, we were waiting on Carson and his dad. And I think we had 2 or 3 dogs tied back. It wasn't many. And when they were coming down in there, and we started grabbing dogs. And as soon as Junior pulled 2 or 3 of his dogs off the tree, bear, whoom, down on the ground and gone.
Yeah.
And the same thing, it did not want to stay up. And it ended up running across that ravine and up on the other side, and ended up retreeing. And we got in there, and we were a little bit smarter this time. We kind of left the dogs loose in case he did want to slide back down. And man, I'll tell you, I think I got in there first, and then I'm not sure who comes second, but Carl's daughter, Carly, and Carson, they come flying, and I'm telling you, it's steep. Like you said, it's like a horse's face.
Yeah.
They come flying up that ridge, and Carson was looking around. I told him to come up there where I was at, and we sat down and we was looking at the bear. And I mean, just the anticipation and the excitement in him. And I'm like, Carson, where's your dad? And he goes, he's coming. We're not used to this. This isn't flat ground like South Carolina. So everybody else started filtering in, and we got everything tied back, and Carson was able to harvest that bear. And I'm telling you, like, if you guys go back and watch that reel I posted, I got a very short clip of him, like, on his dad, like hugging his dad. The smile on his face was unforgettable. He gets up. I mean, he's high-fiving everybody, and then that little dude, he shoots down there to go look at his bear. And I mean, he just starts, he grabs the bear and just, I mean, he's overwhelmed with joy. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. And then here's where the work comes in, is getting it out of that hole that we were in. That's why I was wringing wet. We get it up out of there and, get back around. And so Sunday, pretty much the same thing. We go back around to that side, end up striking again. The dogs had to work for this one. Like, they trailed for a little bit, ended up crossing the road. A couple of the dogs got across. Like I said, it was so dry and dusty, like that crossing. And those roads are wide too. I mean, what do you think? They're probably 50. I don't know. They're at least 20, 30 yards wide. They're long. I mean, they're wide.
Yep.
So the dogs hit the road. They slowed down. They made a couple circles. A couple dogs ended up pushing it across the road. And we got some more dogs packed in, and they made another probably 2 or 3 miles, ended up treeing around the mountain from where we were at. And we were able to get in there, like I said, 9/10 of a mile. And there's where I was confused. I'm like, so we got Carson again, and I didn't know all the background that you just explained, where we had 4. But after talking to him on the way out, yeah, I mean, they asked Carson, you want to go again? And, he was like, heck yeah. Like, and he didn't even care if he took one at that point. He just wanted to go. Him and his dad both just wanted to go. And we were able to tree a pretty nice bear. And the same thing, it comes out. Like, we get there, we start pulling dogs back, bam, it comes out. It actually runs to the bottom of the holler and trees again, which was a blessing because it was less of a drag for us. And I think Glenn and Chris ended up driving around and picking us up, and they had to take us a pretty good ways back around through there. But yeah, so Carson was able to harvest 2 bear. And at that point, I realized that you guys had 2 tags. And again, the bear management on that area that's not allowed to hunt, I don't think the 4 bear that we took out of there put a dent in anything.
Not even close. You was talking about the haul roads being so wide. With it dusty, man, that's those bears shake those dogs real quick. Mm-hmm. And with Aiden's bear on Saturday, that's what happened with us. They rigged a bear. We got one started, kind of tried to get it surrounded, try to add more dogs, and it come out to one of those. It was probably 50, like closer to 50 yards wide, and I guess it popped out, and instead of popping out and running straight across, it run down the road a little ways, and the dogs, they just come out, and now we're all picking up our dogs in the middle of the haul road, and we finally get all the dogs round back up, and we thought we put back down on it on out. Matt rigged it again, and he started Paco and another dog, and got this bear. We thought it was the same one, but it was a different bear. It was different, the first one we seen, when the guy seen it had a little white patch on it. Well, the second one we seen, no white patch. So it shook us again, and then when we got on the next bear, that it kicked out. I guess it kicked out a bear, because the bear that we're going to the tree, it was a lot smaller, 125, 130 pound bear, but it ended up being a lot smaller than the first two that we had seen, and it's almost like they know that there's this grass up there that it's like this strip grass, and it's tall, and it almost puts off like a fragrance. And it's like them things knows, if they can get in there and weave that grass, it's like it does something to those dogs' nose. It's the craziest grass, and we try to not even really turn out when they're near that, because they'll just about shake the dogs every time. It's crazy. I don't know what the name of the grass is, but yeah, it was when we got to the tree and seen it that we knew that we had, on that first day, there was 3 bear, and we're talking within half a square mile. We had pushed 3 bear out right there.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get into the grass, but we got into the roads, and like I said, that was tough. Like I said, the dry conditions, as hot as it was. I know I wrote the humidity and everything down, because I do it every day that I hunt, and I'm pretty sure it was up in the low 90s both days. So that plays a part into it too. So, but it was tough. I mean, it's like you said, it's not easy. It's not just, okay, I'm going to put a couple dogs down a tree of bear. It doesn't work that way. Like, it never has, and it never does. Yes, you get lucky sometimes, and the dogs have a short race, or they tree right beside the road, but those are few and far between. That is not the common practice.
Go to 3 bear trees. That's all you got to tell somebody. Go to 3. Walk to 3 bear trees, and then tell me it's easy. Yeah.
So Reggie, is it a way, like, let's say that there's guys listening to this and they want to participate, they want to do this next year. Is there a way for those guys to get in touch with somebody, reach out to them, and maybe set up a hunt of their own?
Yeah, if you're talking about, like, if you're wanting to bring a kid, if a houndsman's wanting to get involved, or to bring a kid, and you have the access to do this, and you have the property, you can contact Suzanne or Rich Carnes, or the Outdoor Dream Foundation, and look them up, or you can contact me, or you, whatever. If they can get a hold of us, we'll get them in the path to say, well, we want a kid to send in, and then they'll do all they can to make sure that you have a kid from the Outdoor Dream Foundation to come in. Whatever hunt you can offer them. If it's a hound hunt, turkey hunt, we do it for turkeys. I'll do a turkey hunt. We spearhead it. And last year we had 8 kids. We killed, it was 5. We killed 5. One kid wouldn't pull the trigger, so he kind of got hung up. But we should have been 6 out of 8. And with spring turkeys in West Virginia, that's glory to God, because that don't happen in a 2-day hunt. But 6 of the kids, or pretty much 6 of the kids of 8, was successful.
And I meant to ask somebody this, and I did not know. So was it Youth Day all throughout West Virginia, or was it just in certain areas?
Yeah, just 2. It's a 2-day youth, and it's in the 26 counties that dogs can be ran. I'm pretty sure it's 26. 26 counties is what was open. It was not statewide, but though that special youth season, I'm 90% positive it was 26 counties only.
Right. Yeah, because I seen some other people posting stuff on Facebook and stuff where they had been youth hunting, and the youth there had got a couple bears. So I wasn't sure if that was a statewide thing. Like our youth season comes in October, but we can only run hounds on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, you can't run hounds on Sunday during a harvest season. So we can only run one day, and then the steel hunters and everything or whatever, they can hunt on Sundays and we can't. So ours is only one day. So, but y'all are more, I mean, and that's something else I didn't realize until I got to talking to Carl and Nick. Like up where you guys are at, it's all private. Like you got to get in on a hunting lease or have something to be able to get in, where we're hunting national forest. And I know there are national forests in West Virginia, but it's not as much as in Virginia, is it?
Well, yeah, especially in southern West Virginia, we don't have that. We have a few small WMAs, but your dogs will be off that in 2 seconds. We don't have tracks. We don't have no big tracks, and a lot of these deer leases is, they go in and they start a hunting club for a deer lease, and then they complain about the bear, but then they won't let guys come in and hound hunt it. So we're blessed that some of these leases let us come in as hound hunters and have access to the properties.
Yeah, for sure. So wrapping this up, anything you want to leave us with, anything that, want to say on behalf of the foundation?
Well, I just want to put the word out to get more people involved. I'm glad you wanted to do this, that we can kind of be the middleman to get the kids in with the hunters that wants to show these kids and make dreams come true. That's what we like. One thing before I forget, Brothers of the Woods Outdoors. Some of you might be familiar with them. They do a hunting show. Now they came and filmed last spring a few of the kids' hunts that when we took them turkey hunting, and Dave Bunnell and Jim Davis said that they will be on board to come next year on this 2-day youth. If the DNR gives us this same youth season, Lord willing, they're going to pass it, and we'll still get that second weekend in September. Well, it's second or third, mid-September is when it'll be. They said they would be willing to send cameraman for each group. So if we get, say 4, if we have 4 kids, we'll have a cameraman kind of tagging with each kid that comes next year. So, and then they'll put it on an episode of Brothers of the Woods Outdoors. It plays, they do on local channels in Parkersburg, and then they do it on YouTube as well. So, we're excited about that, and these kids, they're going to love that. They're going to love just being here, and then if they get to be on a little hunting show, that'll be great too.
Yeah. Well, again, Reggie, like I said, I think it's a great what you guys are doing. Like I said, I'm honored that I was invited to be a part of it. Hopefully, it can continue because I really enjoyed being around you guys. I enjoyed being a part of taking a youth hunting, especially one that has an illness. That's what it's about for me. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate you guys having me up.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming. I was excited when Carl, he's like, you need to check out, have you heard of this Heath guy? And I was like, that name sounds familiar. And then he was talking about some of the stuff you do, and I watched some of the stuff that you do, and you put out good stuff, and I'm excited, that you was able to come and see what we do with these kids and with our different terrain. I just like getting in different areas and seeing different terrain. Anybody that's an outdoorsman, I don't even have, it ain't even really about killing stuff. I went with my buddy last year to Ohio like 4 times just to sit in the stand with him. You know what I mean? I didn't have no, I'm just observant because I like just looking at new ground. And it's cool to see, these kids, they come in on that mines complex and they've never seen nothing like that. They're like, wow, this is unreal.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Black Hawk and that mine. And, what was the guy's name? Brad?
Tad Bailey.
Tad Bailey for having us up and taking care of us, and the Outdoor Dream Foundation. And thank you, Reggie, for letting me be a part of this and for coming on and explaining what you guys do.
Yeah. I hate trying to call out names, man. Every bear hunter that was there, they know who. I hate trying to tag because on Facebook, social media. I always miss somebody. So I try not, I just say, you know who you are, you know what I mean? And you know, it's good to give a shout out if we can, but I'll end up forgetting somebody every time. And I don't want it to be about that. Last thing I want to do is hurt somebody who has helped so much, and we have so much help. We appreciate everybody.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time this morning to come on and help us.
Yes, sir.
Hang on just a second. Do you like to be outdoors like I do? If so, unlock the wilderness with Onyx Maps. It is your ultimate guide to exploring, hunting, and conquering the great outdoors. With detailed maps, real-time tracking, and exclusive access to public and private lands, Onyx Maps is your key to adventure. Discover the possibilities and never get lost again with Onyx. So subscribe today using the promo code K920, letter K, number 9, 20, and know where you stand.